Hey, Joseph here in my Spotlight series on local businesses, and today I am with my friend Howard Tonkin with Urban Habitat. So, how you doing, Howard?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, tell us a little bit about your company.
Okay, so Urban Habitat is a small business. We're based out of Miami, and what we do is create habitat within the urban environment to sustain species of plants and animals that are otherwise facing extinction. So we have a strong focus on biodiversity of endangered species, rare and hard to find plants that people are not generally exposed to, but also plants that tell a story about the sustainability of wildlife. So each plant is for a different butterfly or bird or creature. And when you put that all together, you have this incredible energy in the garden that brings about a confluence of wildlife that's really beautiful. And as well, for homeowners, we're putting the right plants in the right location so plants are successful, but also low maintenance. So it's about getting rid of that lifestyle of the blowers and the whackers and the microplastics that get microparticularized into the air when people use blowers, and the cat poop and the iguana poop, and in this case the peacock poop. And when people use blowers, all that stuff gets in the air, it gets in our lungs and our clothes, and it really shouldn't be in the air. So it's about moving away from that high maintenance intrusive lifestyle that scares birds away with all that kind of maintenance noise, and about actually having a garden that you can be in, appreciate the real Florida, and really enjoy supporting some wildlife in your green space, and making the green space not just about the gratification of, oh, I want privacy, but making your green space into something that you can share the planet with, the wildlife that belongs here in South Florida.
So it goes far beyond just making it low maintenance. It really goes along with sustainability and
yeah, I mean,
air quality,
you know
life
what?
Quality.
At the end of the day, low maintenance is a thing. It's not a fallacy, but it's kind of like a legend, because there's a new invasive species introduced to Florida every 30 days, technically speaking. So there are weeds, and so we landscape in a way that we fill in all the microhabitats and create less opportunity for weeds. But when you have a native garden, there's always going to be some maintenance. It's kind of like a living piece of artwork that's always growing and changing. But we're here and available to take care of the garden more like on a seasonal basis, rather than the sort of heavy maintenance bi-weekly or monthly kind of grift of the commercial landscape industry. So we kind of want to come in seasonally and maybe refresh some wildflowers, trim a few things here and there. But the idea is really to have the client be able to divest from this ridiculously expensive maintenance, because you look at what people spend on hedges and lawns, and you look at it about the same money it costs to put a kid through school. So when people realize the amount of money they're spending every month, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm spending all this money on a boring hedge that really does nothing for the environment. Instead of the typical landscaping that would attract mosquitoes because of the artificial look of the heavy tropical foliage that you see so often in South Florida, we actually have plants in the hedges here that repel mosquitoes. So it's a different approach.
That's fantastic. So that means
Yes.
we're getting away from the sprays and the bug sprays. And
Absolutely.
all that stuff
It's
as well.
the answer to every question is biodiversity, right? So the thing is, if you have a native garden that is appealing to dragonflies, well, dragonflies eat around 300 mosquitoes per day. So just by adding that biodiversity of the dragonflies, suddenly we have your mosquitoes under control. And also the wonderful thing about dragonflies is they've been around for 60 million years, right? So they really represent a lot of sustainability. So you're looking at creatures that have been around and survived the dinosaurs. So when you have the dragonflies show up in your garden, it's a good omen of like, oh, this is a survivable, sustainable place.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're obviously extremely passionate about it. How long have you been doing this?
I started Urban Habitat at a very minimal level around 12 years ago. And I kind of just followed my instincts on building the business out of various farmers markets in South Florida. And it's really sort of defined itself. I started out the business with cacti and succulents and native plants, because that is what made sense to me. And then as I learned about the crisis of mass extinction occurring in real time in South Florida, and how we've lost 99% of the native plants, 99% of the native animals, but still they're still here, So I've lived to experience this miracle of I can be unloading plants off the truck, and there's literally birds landing on the truck, eating the fruits. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. They're starving, So the thing is, the United States is in a position where, for example, we're losing 1% of the bird population for each year since 1965. That means 2065, no more birds in North America. We're in trouble, right? So it's super important. And so we want to encourage people to plant the pine trees, because the pine trees produce more oxygen than any other tree. But what's also so incredibly important about the pine trees is the pine trees have needles, right? Mm-hmm. And the birds that are going extinct require the needles to build nests, right? So the birds are like, I can't make a nest out of ecclesia. I can't make a nest out of a dumb palm tree. I can't make a nest out of your lawn. I need pine trees to build nests with the needles. So, it's so important for the birds, but the pine trees also produce more oxygen than any other tree. What we do here is we say, this is your human cave, and this is your green space. And how are you able to have a positive interaction with the natural world within which you coexist in your own living action, right? So instead of giving money to Greenpeace or some charity or something like that, this is like saying, I am turning my garden, my space, I'm living authentically and turning my space into real Florida and building my own little national park.
So what are a couple quick tips if someone's not going to do a total makeover of their landscaping, and you could give them one or two quick tips, something that you do that would be sustainable and that would help the environment, and what would you suggest?
Well, I mean, if you look in the big picture of our planet is really in trouble, right? And what every person could do is just please plant one tree. If everybody planted one tree, we could literally turn this planet around. We've cut down 80% of the trees on this planet in the last 500 years. We're terraforming the planet to death. There's now more concrete on our planet than biomass. So reducing areas of concrete, reducing areas of lawn, planting trees to cool the neighborhood. If everybody planted trees, we could make the neighborhood 9 degrees cooler on a regular day, And so it's so important to plant trees. It takes 10 trees for each person to breathe for a year, 10 great big trees. So if everybody had 10 trees that were the trees that gave them the air to breathe, if everybody did that, we would be on a different future with this planet.
Okay, and so if they're going to their local nursery, what kind of tree would you suggest is going to be the first? A pine tree?
Well, I would suggest that they call Urban Habitat, 646-373-7827, thinkbeyondthehedge.com, urbanhabitatmiami@gmail.com. I will deliver for free. We will even plant your trees. But the thing is every plant that you buy in a commercial big box store or the commercial landscaping industry uses, every plant is set up with booby traps to be high maintenance, but also at the same time they're specifically selected to be pest free, meaning they support zero wildlife. So it creates this artificial world where there's no animals and all this use of fossil fuels for maintenance, whereas we do the opposite. We plant each plant that provides habitat for a different creature, bird, animal, and then you put that all together and it's wildlife everywhere. And then we put the plants in the right locations. So if we have a cylindrical small tree that grows 4 feet wide, we put that 2 feet from the fence, nobody ever has to touch it, and so that's about sustainability, about not having that intrusion of the noise of the whackers and the trimmers and the blowers, and just leave your garden alone, and then actually be able to come out here and do a little weeding and enjoy the space.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, with that note, say it again, where can people find you? Urban Habitat.
Where people can find me is,
what's your phone number
call
again?
me, text me, 646-373-7827. It's a 646 number because it's 2023. Everybody has a cell phone. And besides, it's not a 305 experience for the vendor fatigued. Also, it's so true. Also, you can reach out to us. Go take a look at the website at thinkbeyondthehedge.com. And also, you can email us directly at urbanhabitatmiami@gmail.com.
Okay. Howard, thank you so much.
Facebook, Instagram, just say hi. Consultations are free, and we can plant. But seriously, even if you want to have your lawn and you want to have your clusia, but something resonates with, like, maybe I should plant a tree, just plant one tree. If everybody did that, it would make an enormous difference.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about residential either, right?
And you're asking what kind of trees. Okay, you asked me what kind of trees. You missed that point. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, the trees that you want to plant are Pinus ellioti densa. Okay, Pinus ellioti densa. That is the South Florida Pinus ellioti, the South Florida slash pine. Okay, it's the real Florida. And then if you live in an area that's susceptible to flooding, you want to be planting pond cypress for a smaller tree and bold cypress, Florida bold cypress. Okay, so if everybody planted those trees, they actually create friction on the winds of the hurricane and slow down the winds of the hurricane so that they don't take the roofs off houses. So the thing is, the less canopy of trees we have, everybody keeps cutting down trees, the more exposed everybody's roofs are to the hurricane force winds. Yeah. Also, the cypress suck up to 800 gallons of water per day. So Wilton Manors would call me and we could plant 100,000 bold cypress in Wilton Manors. That would suck up 800 million gallons of stormwater per day, dirty stormwater, sequestering inorganic compounds into the timber and releasing clean water vapor. I was looking like, you know, that huge drop down by the police station that's all full of water? Yep. That should be filled with 1,000 cypress in there. Oxygen and sucking up the water.
Howard, this has turned into far more educational.
It always is. It always is, you know?
But so if someone has a business, it's not just residential. If you've got a business, if you work for the city government, these are all things you can do to help the environment, certainly help the ecology and the biodiversity in Florida and in particular South Florida. So thank you so much, Howard.
Thank you for listening.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.